Hi guys, it's time to finally sit down and film my April process for my one little word prompts for this month. And before I do that, I'll be a little bit honest with you. I've kind of stepped back from this project. I wanted to say in the last month, but probably the last couple of months. March, as you know, was a bit pear-shaped. I did complete my intention for March, which was to leave the house every day in March, but that was mostly due to circumstances rather than me consciously making the decision to do that every day. So the 31 days is filled in. I did it, like I said, accidentally kind of, and that was pretty much where I've left this project off. I haven't filled in anything else. I haven't done the reflections, I didn't print a photo, I haven't done anything else. That's where I left off. And the April prompts from Ellie were a bit different because they came weekly this month for April. So I'll be honest, I haven't done them either. I haven't done the weekly process. One of the things that helped me stay on track with this project last year was the fact that I could sit down and do the prompts for you guys to film these videos. And so having the prompt this month split over the 4 weeks really didn't work for me. I didn't sit down 4 times and film 4 different videos. I just sort of kept telling myself, no, I'll film it at the end of the month. And here we are at the end of the month and I still haven't filmed anything, so I decided tonight was the night to sit down and bite the bullet as such. Otherwise I can see myself just letting this project just slip away, and that's not what I want to do. So here I am, very consciously filming far too late at night and probably about to do way too much thinking for my poor tired brain, but we'll see how we get on. I will eventually print a photo and finish off my reflections, but I did have a sort of vague idea for how I want to present the prompts for April. And when I flip my page over, I'm at the middle of my pocket page notebook, and that isn't going to work for my idea. So I think I'm going to end up just filling in this page with like a quote or something like that. I don't want to do too much in the way of journaling because I'm about to do a lot of journaling here. So I think what I'll do is it'll go like this. So I will finish writing my reflections. I may even carry on to this page here. I'm not sure yet. I will print a photo and pop that in there. I might even print a photo collage because, like I said, I did leave the house. And then this page will have a photo or a quote or something along those lines, because I want my April prompt to start with a spread that has a pocket page, because there are 4 journaling prompts this month, so I want to do them 1, 2, and 3 and 4, and use these pocket pages as sort of a divider for those 4 prompts. And I thought what I want to do is put in the pocket is some vellum inserts with some cutouts using my silhouette and some of the digitals that came with the main one little word kit. So I'm gonna do that first. I'm gonna head over to the computer and show you how I do that, and then I'll carry on with the rest of the book. So to make my little dividery pages, I'm just going to start off in Silhouette Studio and just drag out a rectangle, which I want to make 4.25 by 8.25 inches, which is going to be the height of my pocket page notebook. And then I'm going to drag in one of the Ellie Edward butterfly PNGs. I picked this one because it's quite dark, which I'm going to need to be able to trace it. So I'm just going to pop that there. Those were part of the main one little word digital kit that came with the class. So I just picked this one because, like I said, it's the darkest. I go to trace and select trace area. You can see all of those butterflies, we show all of them had some sort of pattern on them. There's not one that is solid.
So I did just pick number 8 because it was the most solid, but if I zoom in here you can see I'm still having issues because it's not picking up all of it. So what I'm going to do is change the threshold. I've pulled that all the way up and you can see I've still got little issues, but I'm gonna try, if I just trace the outer edge. Okay, it gave me the butterfly. So I'll just experiment for your benefit, but my benefit as well. If you do it like this without changing the threshold first and go trace outside edge, you do get these little jaggedy bits. It doesn't do the inside pieces, but you do get those jaggedy edges. So this one gives me a nice smooth butterfly, and I can go ahead and delete the PNG file. And then I'm just going to place some butterflies here on my the rectangle that I dragged out, just rotating them and resizing them to create a bit of a pattern, I guess. I am just going to cut 2 of these, so I only need to do the one rectangle, but I will show you how to save a bit of space. I don't think I want too many on there. I am going to select all those butterflies and group them together, and then my rectangle and my butterflies, and just center them onto that rectangle. Then grab all of that and group it together, and then I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees because the paper, the vellum that I'm going to cut is A4 in size, so I can fit 2 of these on one sheet, so I'm not wasting any vellum there. If you don't have an A4 size, you can still do the same thing. So if you're working with letter size paper, I'll just change that so you can see here. It is wider, you see, so you can still fit the two Traveler's Notebook size pages on there, but you will need to do a little bit of extra trimming when it comes to finishing this up. So if I go back to my A4 page, I can then ungroup both of these, and I'm going to delete the 2 rectangles. So I'm going to end up cutting this A4 page through my silhouette, and all it's going to do is cut out the butterflies, and then when that's finished I can carefully peel it off and use my paper trimmer to just trim 2 4 1/4 strips from there. There's a little bit of paper left over on that side, but that will give me the 2 inserts for my pocket page notebook.
Okay, so my silhouette's finished cutting out my sheet here. It's going to be really hard to see because it's white, but you can see the 2 repeat patterns here with the butterflies. And so I'm just going to trim those out and pop them into my notebook. I did manage to salvage enough of these little vellum butterflies off the cutting mat, and I just stacked them up and stitched them together. Focus here, there we go. And created this cute little vellum embellishment. So don't throw away those little scraps. They can be very handy for making your own fun little embellishments. So I will pop that aside. I'm not going to use it this month. Okay, so you can see me struggling to put those into the insert, so much so that I've managed to rip the cover off my notebook, so I'm now going to have to fix that as well. But I do have a little hint for putting these sorts of inserts into your pocket page, which is to grab a piece of scrap paper and cut yourself a couple of straps. They don't have to be exact. I make them sort of slightly smaller than they need to be. Then pop your little sheet between the 2, making like a little sandwich, and then you can slip that into your pocket and pull the inserts back out again. So so much easier. And now I have my little vellum insert all finished. So I am definitely not going to make you sit here and watch me write down 4 pages worth of journaling, but before I get to the actual journaling part, I do want to decorate these pages a little bit, and I'm going to use the chipboard pack from One Little Word, and I'm going to use my favorite little mini alpha from Kelly Stamps, and a sort of random label stamp set that I've got, and I grabbed 4 different ink colors. So I'm just going to decorate a little bit and add the actual prompts before I leave off and go and do my journaling.
So I've sped this up considerably because it did take quite a long time, so long in fact that my camera stopped halfway through. But I just started by going through the chipboard pieces. Off to my right you can't see there, but I did actually write down the 4 prompts so that I could keep them in mind when I was looking for these chipboard pieces, and I was just trying to pick ones that were sort of appropriate to what the prompt was, I guess is what I'm looking for. I'm also trying to get a sort of mix and balance of colours. I don't want too many pieces on the same page that have the same colour. In fact, I don't want any of the pieces on each page to have the same colour, and I kind of want to spread out these colours throughout the 4 pages. So I've got 4 little bundles of 4 for each page. I sort of kept to a recipe, I guess. I've got 4 round ones, 4 long ones, and then a large asterisk and a smaller asterisk. So I am gonna create these 4 pages so they are the same. I'm using the same recipe. Like I said, it was late, so I wanted to just make this as easy as possible, but also get a little bit of color onto the page. I think was my main point with doing this, is because I just felt like 4 pages of just straight out journaling was going to be a little bit dull and a little bit boring. So I did want to add some of these chipboard pieces, plus I bought them because they were gorgeous, loved the colors of them, and I've barely used any of them and I wanted to use a few more. So you can see here, I'm not actually sticking the chipboard straight down onto the page. I am peeling it off a little bit, and that's the trick to using chipboard in a notebook like this. It does peel off super easily. I'm just using my nails. You could probably use tweezers or a craft knife or something like that, but it just peels off really easily. I'm basically only leaving the printed cardboard piece on top. It still has a tiny bit of dimension on the page. It's not perfectly flat like a sticker, for instance, but it definitely does not have any of the bulk that the full chipboard has. So on each of these full pages I am doing the exact same recipe, exactly like I said before. I am using the same label stamp and one of the 4 different inks and stamping that label stamp slightly off the page at the top. It's not I'm not making sure they're all exactly in the same place, but they are all at the top on the left or the right hand side of the page. And then I am using that mini alpha with my Memento Tuxedo black ink just to stamp out the prompt that I'm actually going to end up journaling on later. I do stamp the prompt first, and then I can go ahead and stick down these 4 little chipboardy pieces. Now this one here, the Becoming Me one, I stuck it slightly too close to the middle of the book, so there was a bit of a bend in it, so it wasn't really sticking properly. It does end up sticking eventually, but because I'm using wet media to stick it down, it takes a little bit of time to dry. This one here, I thought I was being smart by stamping both sides of the page before I went ahead and stuck down the chipboard, but because I used that scrap paper in between it, I've smudged a little bit of ink on there. So I did wonder about covering that up with the chipboard first, but I want to keep the same general placement of the chipboard like I was saying before, but so covering it up with that doesn't really work. I end up just covering it with my journaling and you barely see it anyway, but I was a little bit bummed that all of this hard work and I then smudged the ink anyway, so it was a bit of a silly move on my behalf, but it doesn't end up really affecting it at all. So this is the last one, and the other thing that I should have been doing, but again it was late, so I was being lazy, was cleaning my stamps. These ones, the alpha stamps, I am stamping off to the side here, but the coloured label one I didn't, and you can see I've definitely mixed inks there. It's supposed to be a pale blue and it's sort of a weird purpley grey colour, which I don't hate, but it's definitely not supposed to be that colour. Now this chipboard was one big long one, and while it would have fit on the page, it would have been very close to the inside and the outside edge, so I did just cut that in half with my scissors once I had pulled the chipboard off the back of it. That just made it easier to cut, and I've just stuck that in 2 places, so it takes up a little bit more room, but I really like how that looks.
So that is my 4 pages, sort of the base of them all done. Some of the chipboard isn't sticking that well, so I think what I will do is close this book up, weight it down, let it dry overnight, and I will do the journaling and stuff tomorrow, and then come back to you and show you the finished product. Okay, so tiny change of plans. I didn't wait overnight, and I just stayed up even later and finished this prompt, and I'm glad I did. It was that's a lot of journaling to do all in one go, so I probably would suggest you split it over 4 weeks as intended, but it was interesting to also spending the time and doing it all in one go. So these are my finished pages, and I think in real life you can see these butterflies a little bit more. What I wish is that I had some coloured vellum and could have done the same technique with a coloured vellum instead, but I don't. I didn't even have vellum in the end. I had to use tracing paper, but I do quite like it. It does hide the journaling for each page, but you can see that it's there. So the 4 pages are all done, and I really like how it turned out. You know, I'm not like a super fan of my handwriting, but I feel like this was probably the only way to do this prompt, just to free write it like this rather than consciously type it out on a typewriter or on a computer or whatever. I'm glad I wrote it. I used Ellie's trick and did the lines between it to try and make it a bit, I guess, more intentionally messy. But overall, I'm really pleased how it turned out. I'm glad I added these like coloured chipboards, otherwise it would have been just like 4 quite dull pages. So that's this month's prompt. I also went back and finished March, so I wrote my reflections in here, but I had a lot more to say, so I filled in a whole nother page, to be honest, with my reflections. And so I did add a couple of collages of some of the photos I took while I was out. Obviously I didn't take a photo outside every single day, but I did take quite a few, so I added those into a couple of collages that I just really quickly put together in Photoshop. I don't have a template or anything. I grabbed a folder full of photos and just dumped them onto a couple of canvases, and this is what I came up with. And actually this one I really enjoy, all the blue tones in it, and it ties in nicely with the stickers that I've got. So the only thing I've got left to do is to fill in this filler page and reattach my cover to my insides, which I suspect a staple's probably not going to do it at this point, so I'm going to have to stitch it, I think. So I will at some point stitch this notebook back together and add a quote in there, but in the meantime I am up to date and really glad that I actually did this prompt and didn't give up. So I encourage you that no matter where you are, just start again. Don't give up because you've missed a prompt or you feel like you're behind. There is no behind. Each monthly prompt is sort of a separate exercise in its own right, so start wherever you are. I was still in April, so I started with April. Otherwise I would have just carried on with May, but like I said, you guys and making these videos gives me the motivation to stay up to date with this. So however you get the motivation to carry on and finish this project, do what you need to do, whether that's an accountability partner or making process videos or just posting them to the Facebook group or your own blog, whatever it takes to keep you on track. Otherwise, just start from where you are. I think that's my main advice. This is going to be quite a long video, I suspect, so if you've made it this far, thank you for sticking around, and otherwise I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.